Alright guys, so today we're gonna reinstall these valves. I took it apart and I replaced the intake valves because they actually bent them. So I replaced them with steel, and while I was in there I just decided to check out the exhaust side, and everything looks good. I checked the boots and everything all looks good. So what you want to do is go ahead and slide your valve into the head. Go ahead and check it for make sure everything's sliding smooth, and you could twist it, you could feel a good connection, good scrape all the way around. And what you could also do is shine a light through your head and through the valve and see if you can see any light through there, which in this case you cannot. So we got the valve seated perfectly. So next step is adding this spacer down at the bottom. This spacer is what the spring sets against. It perfectly fits. So go ahead and drop this down in there. Using a pick, make sure it goes down there properly and sits down flat. The spring, there's a double coil which goes down, and a red on the top of the spring, which indicates is the exhaust side. The intake are blue, so you gotta make sure you keep an eye on that. I don't know if they're a different type of metal or not, but just to be safe, you want to be sure. So drop that down in there, make sure it sits properly. Grab your top spacer, set that on top, and then you want to grab your shims. You got two shims. You want to make sure the smaller side goes down in there first. Yep. So what I like to do is I go on the high side first. Try to drop it down on the high side, using your pick to try to get it into place, and then go ahead and grab your other and drop it on the low side. Let me fix these other ones first. Ready? Drop the low side in. It's definitely the hardest part of the whole job. Alrighty, there we go. So at first, what I do is I push it down on my on it with my thumb to try to line them up. So if you look at it, they're pretty much lined up. They're just not seated down in there. So then what I got is a C-clamp. It's a 6-inch C-clamp. I put the bottom around on the valve itself. Bring the top over, and then pinch it down. Here, spin this. There's a specialty tool that they use to do this, which makes it a lot easier, but why go out and spend another 20 or 40 bucks for this when I got a C-clamp at the house I use to do brakes. So we'll go ahead and push her in until she bottoms out on the valve. So then we'll let it off a little bit, slowly bring it out. I know for sure it's not seated. We're just trying to get those spacers down in there a little bit further. So we'll bring it off a lot, take her out. See, they're still down in there. So go ahead and reinstall the C-clamp. Verify that she's on the valve. And then I got a 14 millimeter socket right here. Let's go ahead and slide it into place. Make sure that she's bigger than your valve hole right there. Make sure she's perfectly straight or as close as you can. And then start wrenching on her. We'll slide her down. And listen for it. You could hear them fall down into place and click into place. Kind of wiggle it around. If you got a hammer, like a soft head hammer, you could use that, or use the base to kind of tap it around. You want those shims to fall down into place. So I'm gonna let off a little bit to check it. Pretty sure one of them's not in. Sound like one, yeah. One of them. So if you look at it, one of them is actually seated down in there. And so what we got to do is try to reinstall this. Making sure it's orientated correctly. Put in there. Use your pick to push to where it needs to go. And push up on your valve and then pop it back into place. Because if you're pushing down on it, when one of them's in there, it's just going to push the valve down and it's not going to allow you to re-put that shim back in there. So now one's in place and one's still high. So we're going to reinstall our C-clamp again. Hopefully we can get it this time. 14 millimeter. This time, since we know what side's not in yet, we'll try to angle it over that way. Crank her down. Kind of wiggle it a little bit. Try to hear it fall in there. It came out again. I think they both came out this time. Oh, look. Now the one's still down in there. This one completely flipped over. We'll put it in the right direction. Alright, so the C-clamp trick don't work. What you could do is set your hammer down or a net or something. Put a blanket over it so it don't scratch your valve. Set your valve on top of the hammer and push down on it with your thumb. And then by using this other side, it's a little bit smaller. So when you push down on it, it'll kind of hit the shim and push it down in there. Oh, yeah, I got it. So go ahead and look in there. They're both down in there. Just to verify that it's properly seated, just reset it on your hammer. Take your nut and kind of push against it. You hear it kind of grind and stay in the spot, into its spot. I had it. Let's see. Ain't gonna work, so well, so what I did was I pushed it down too far, and now one of the shims went down in too far. So it's like a big process for sure. You want to make sure that they're properly set in there, because one of these comes out, you know, it could mess your whole motor up. So what I'm going to do is pop these shims out the way I showed in a previous video. So I got the shims back out again. Just redo the process. I mean, it's not super simple without the tool. I mean, with the tool it's even a little complicated, but just gotta stick with it, you know. If you want to save money by not purchasing this valve compressor, then that's how it's gonna have to be. So get that in there. Now let's get this side. Alright, so I got them setting in there again. You want something pushing on the back side of the valve. Use your thumb. Push it. It aligns them a little bit better. Let's see if I can do the hammer trick. So let's do the hammer. Put the hammer underneath. It don't have to be a hammer, just anything that you could use to push against the valve down here. Perfect. So where's my socket? Put it over the top of it. Push down. Alright. Again, one set into place and the other one sticking up. I don't know if, yeah, you can see that. You know what else could help is having a longer socket. Almost. A little closer. Give me 1 second, I'll look for something real quick. Alright, so I got a little bit longer of a socket. It's not much longer, but hopefully we can get it to work out. So I got it on the hammer, got this lined up. We're going to push it in slowly. You can kind of hear them sliding around in there. Take a quick look at it. Alrighty, now I got them set down in there. Let's go ahead and give it a couple of test pinches on there. So if you look at it, perfectly placed down in there. I'm gonna get it to focus, yeah. So I got both the exhaust sides and then intakes are good. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of finagling and, you know, have patience with it. You can get it without having to buy the tool and everything. So I hope this helps you. If not, man, leave a comment and see what we could do better. I try to show like raw footage of how it goes, and it's not always just smooth, you know. It's kind of a little bit of work, but hope this helps you. Thank you.